You have always been different. You've always been different. You've always been ostracized. You've always been picked on. You've always been doubted. You always have been the one that was picked last. But the funny thing about God is he likes to use the less likely. The funny thing about God is he always picks the one that would not be the first pick in man's sight. The Spirit of the Lord does that so that when things happen, that he's the only one that can get the glory. He doesn't like to share his glory with man. He doesn't like to share his glory with mankind, because if left up to mankind, they would pick the one most suitable. They would pick the one that looks the part. The thing is, when you are anointed, you will not be recognized. Christ came down in a manger. He performed miracles. He raised the dead. He healed the sick. And all that they can say was that he did these things by the spirit of Beelzebub. But how can Beelzebub cast out Beelzebub? How can Baal cast out Baal? Instead of recognizing that the Spirit of the Lord was truly operating through Christ, the one that came in the manger, the one that took on flesh and came so humbly, instead of recognizing that he was truly the Son of God, instead of recognizing that he truly possessed the anointing, they would pick at him. When he healed, they would accuse him of healing on the Sabbath day. When he spoke about the mysteries of heaven, they would find a way, the Pharisees and Sadducees will find a way to discredit him, because he was truly anointed. When Joseph would speak about his dreams and his visions, when he would speak about the things that God had showed him, it made his brothers become envious. It made his brothers become jealous, because they knew that not only was he one of God's favorite, that he also too was his father's favorite. He gave him the coat of many colors. So when you are anointed, you will not be recognized. David, though he was a shepherd boy, the kingly anointed rested on the inside of him. He was the one that would defeat Goliath. He was the one that would be victorious in slaying the giant. But he seemed so simple. He seemed so lowly. He was thus only a shepherd boy. But God used him so that he would receive the glory. God likes to use the less likely. When you're anointed, don't expect to be recognized. When you are anointed, it would look like you are cursed, because you'll always be picked as last. You'll always be overlooked, because God does not share his glory with man. Don't be cast down when you're not the first pick. Don't be dismayed when people overlook you because you don't fit the part. Because when these people overlook you, that's when God takes you up. When you are picked last, that's when God picks you first. When you are put down, that's when God lifts you up. When you are talked about, that's when God elevates you, because he desires to receive the glory. He will not share his glory with man. When they say you can't do it, that's when God steps in and bestows upon you his strength, because he will not share his glory with man. When they talk about you and talk about the gifts that you possess, and they make it seem like it's coming from elsewhere, that's when God will step in and vindicate you, because he will not share his glory with man. When God desires to receive the glory, he's going for the less likely. When God desires to receive the glory, he's going to wait until a situation looks dead. He's going to wait until you become a Lazarus, because he desires to receive the glory. When he desires to receive the glory, he's gonna come late, but yet it will be right on time. When God desires to receive the glory, he's gonna wait until it looks like it's midnight before he shows up. Why? Because he will not share his glory with man. When God steps in to do a thing, you are going to know that it is God, because his fingerprints will be all over it. It's gonna look like, Lord, where are you? It's gonna look like, Lord, I'm crying out to you in this trouble. Why have you not answered me? Lord, I'm crying out to you. Why won't you do something? But he's gonna wait until you're like Lazarus to show himself mighty. He's gonna wait until the wine runs out so he can turn the water into wine. He's gonna wait until you've been sold. He's gonna wait until you have been hurt. He's gonna wait until you have been beaten and bruised before he steps in, because he will not share his glory with man. Don't expect to be recognized by man when you carry a mantle on your life. Don't expect to be showered with love when you have a mantle on your life. Don't expect to be the first pick when you carry the Spirit of God within you. You will be ostracized. You will be picked apart. You will be talked about. Because what? They did it to your father. They did it to Christ. So who are you? Who are you? How special are you when they picked at Christ, when they beat the very one that was carrying their salvation? Who are you? Don't think for a moment that you will be recognized. Don't think for a moment that you'll be praised. Don't think for a moment that they're going to give you your flowers while you're here. Not until Christ died, not until his spirit went back to his Father and he transcended, did they realize that we have just killed the Son of Man. Not until something happens and God steps in will they realize who you truly are. Then they'll say, wow, the anointed was amongst me and I treated them wrong. The anointed was amongst me and I picked on them. The anointed was amongst me and I ostracized them. The anointed was amongst me and I stoned them. The anointed was amongst me and I killed them. Not until Christ separated, not until he came back and showed the nails in his hand, did they realize that this truly was the Son of Man. Not until he came back and they saw the scars in his hand, they put their fingers in the holes in his hand, did they realize that the anointed was amongst us. Anointed ones, don't expect to be praised. Anointed ones, don't expect to be recognized. They couldn't recognize Christ. The very ones that he came to give his life for, they ostracized him. The very one that he came to offer salvation to, the very ones that he came to offer wisdom to, the very ones that he came to offer love to, they beat him. They stoned him. Only a few recognized him. Only a few recognized him. Only a few recognized him. Only a few knew who he truly was. It wasn't until he went back to the Father that they recognized the King of Kings was here. A lot of you guys, you won't be recognized. Your family won't recognize you. Your friends won't recognize you. They won't recognize until something happens, and then they'll realize the anointed has been amongst us. Then they'll realize the chosen has been amongst us, and we didn't honor them. When Joseph's brothers came back within the famine, Joseph had to spare their lives. It was not until then that they realized that Joseph was truly anointed. Not until their very lives were in Joseph's hand did they realize that the anointed was amongst us. And what did we do? We sold him into slavery. Not until Christ died and was risen on the third day did they realize the anointed was amongst us, and we stoned him. The anointed was amongst us and we crucified him. Don't expect to be recognized. You will not be recognized, chosen ones. You will not be recognized until it's too late. Then they realize the anointed was amongst me. Don't expect to be recognized, chosen ones. But you know you came here. You came here with a job to do. You came here with an assignment. And regardless of if they recognize that assignment, regardless of if they recognize that you were sent here for a greater purpose, still carry out and fulfill the purpose of God over your life. When it's time, they will recognize you. When God desires to unveil you, as he did to Joseph's brothers when he had to save them from famine, they'll recognize you. But it's up to you to have mercy. When Christ came back after he had walked this earth, in the third day after he was crucified, they realized that he was the Son of Man. And what was his job? His job was to lead them on to salvation. So chosen ones, and when they recognize you, when they really realize that the anointed was amongst us, and they recognize who you truly are, have mercy. Have grace. Show them the love of God. Don't do to them what they have done to you. Don't deal with them as they deserve. But it's your job now to show the love, to show the grace, to show the mercy of God, so that they too may become believers, so that they too may offer their lives to the Most High God. Don't expect to be recognized. Love you guys.